I don't know, you may have heard this story before, but I have this friend, and he's a priest, and when he was ordained, a friend said to him afterwards, said, "Are you weak enough to be a priest?" And he was taken aback a little bit by that question. Because everything in his seminary and all of his training was about being a strong priest and how he needed to be a strong priest. And never did he think about whether he was weak enough to be a priest. Or maybe a better word is vulnerable enough to be a priest. You know, it's in our vulnerabilities, our weakness, that we really connect to one another. It's not in our strengths. Our strengths are what make us different. But we can relate to each other's weaknesses, and that can give us strength. That's really where we find strength, because it takes a really strong person to be weak, to allow themselves to reveal that to other people. And that's where we gain our strength, because I think we can all relate to somebody having a bad day, an awful day, because we've had those ourselves. And a lot of times people will have a bad, awful day, and then they'll go crazy that evening. They will go binge on food, or binge on alcohol, or go out and do something to hurt themselves. But if they would share that weakness with somebody else, I had a bad day, call somebody on the phone and share how awful their day is. They will find somebody, you'll find me, that says, I can relate, I've had a bad day. And this is what I've done. Instead of going crazy, I went over to a friend's house that I could just be myself with and have a good dinner with. And my day was so much better. I transformed the misery of the day into joy, just by reaching out to somebody and not going off by myself and trying to be strong, and I'll face it on my own. People try to project that they are strong. I want to show any weakness. But that's a lie. That's a half-truth. It's only half of the truth. Because we are strong, yes we are, I'm not denying that. But at the same time, we are weak as human beings. It's both and, not either or. And in order for us to really be a saint, we must face that truth in our life. You can never be a saint unless you face that truth. Are you weak enough to be a saint? That's what all the Beatitudes are about that we hear in the gospel. They're about letting ourselves be weak. Blessed are the weak, for they will be strong. That's what I say. But if you really look at each one of those Beatitudes, blessed are the poor. What? Why is Jesus, shouldn't he see blessed as the strong? He says, blessed are the poor. Those are people who know that they need God in their life and that they need other people to survive because they are poor. They are weak. They know they need help. And Jesus says, of all things, blessed are those kind of people, because you know what's going to happen? They are going to find help. Blessed are those who mourn. In our society, for a lot of people, especially for men, crying is a sign of weakness. But God forbid if we bear our feelings in front of another person. We want to be strong. We like to show anger. That makes us feel strong. But really, a lot of times, under that anger is sadness. Sadness about this or that. And we prefer to be angry instead of feeling that. But if we can share that with another human being, that can make such a difference. Blessed are the meek. Holy cow. Do not be meek. That is an absolute sign of weakness. To be willing to suffer, to be willing to be submissive to God and to one another. To be submissive to truth. Blessed are the merciful. You see this? All of these are about being weak. About being vulnerable. And blessed are these people because they have learned to connect. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are those who, instead of persecuting others, allow themselves to be persecuted. I believe that people's deepest desire is for intimacy. That's where the joy is found. The fulfillment is we crave for that unity. That unity, that oneness with God, and that oneness with one another. That, my friends, is heaven when we experience that. That intimacy, I'm not talking about just physical intimacy. That is a fruit, not a beginning, but really an endpoint of what intimacy will finally lead us into. How do we do this? A challenge in our life to open ourselves up to others. We got to be careful about that, right? Got to test the waters of those people. But that's where we find our strength. And that's really one of the only ways that we will ever really grow. Because then we open ourselves up to God teaching us. I know a simple place where it can begin. Reconciliation, confession. There is an absolute place of confidentiality that isn't going anywhere. There's a wonderful place that we can share what's going on. And everybody who goes to that will tell you that afterwards, you know how they feel? They feel relieved, of course. And they feel stronger in life, that they can face life once again. But I want to say that is only a beginning point. It's not an end point. A lot of people in the Catholic Church, we think, well, that's the end point. You know, we do that and whoosh, we were vulnerable there and we'll never be vulnerable again in other areas. No, that's supposed to lead us out to finding other people to be vulnerable with. To be willing, we all have our struggles. To find those people who will support us. Do you think that when I have a difficult issue to talk about here in the church, do you think that I don't talk it over with other people? No. I talk to other people, and then I find strength and courage to face what I need to face. Are you willing to be weak enough to be a saint?